So I'm walking in my purpose on purpose. So I'm walking in my purpose on purpose. So I'm walking in my purpose on purpose. On purpose. On purpose. So I'm walking.
So today with us on Stewart Talk, we're honored to have a very special lady, one who you go to see to get things that you need right. She'll get you together. She specializes in publishing, branding specialist, a woman of God. She serves in the ministry, and she's just awesome. Today we have with us Sarah Busby. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a great day. Thank you for
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for being on there. Time is something that you can't get back, so I always appreciate people that take time out of their schedule to be able to pour into the viewers and the youth and the people that watch this because it's been a blessing to them.
perfect. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What inspired you to dive into the field that you in, being a publicist and dealing with all the branding and different things like that?
So originally I went to school to be a journalist. So to be on like your local news station or your national news station. So I actually did that in college. And so my story is I always tell people is that back then, once I graduated, I had the experience. I actually did it on the local news station in Tuscaloosa, and I just didn't get a job. So, I would, submit resumes and reels and all of that. I'm like, I actually reported. And so I just didn't get nobody ever called me back. And so my friend here, she no longer does PR, but she inspired me to kind of start my own business. So I just gradually got into PR because that's the next thing, a lot of people will navigate into is, after, being a journalist, they may go into public relations because they have, the contacts, they know how to, write and so forth. So that's how I got into it.
So during those times, you saying it was frustrating and you wouldn't get no response or nothing. What made you stay strong and stay the course? How did your faith play a factor in that?
So my faith always played a factor because I always knew that I was made to like I just knew I was supposed to be in TV. I knew I was supposed to be successful. I knew that I'm from Mobile, Alabama. So I knew that my dreams were bigger than my hometown. And so I just really stayed the course. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to get there, but I just said, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this, and I love people. So that's really what it was.
Um, so as you dived into it, as you started with it, what was the challenges you faced, and when did you know, like, man, I can do this, or when did you see God moving and you actually were doing good, and you was like, man, I can excel at this?
Um, so a lot of the challenges that I faced was I didn't have a lot of social proof, as I was building the company. I didn't know what being an entrepreneur was. So I lacked that experience. I didn't have no one, there wasn't a blueprint for me. My father was an entrepreneur. However, my father passed when I was 12 years old. So I just had my mother, she was just my support system, my biggest fan, still is today. So I didn't have that blueprint. Nobody said, hey, this is how you get an LLC. You do it this way. I didn't have that. So a lot of the challenges were didn't know how to, structure a business. The next challenge was I didn't have the relationships that I really needed to build in PR. And so also too, when I first started, I was back at home. So a lot of people didn't know what it was, what I did, right? And so I always knew I'm like, I gotta get to Atlanta because they get it. They get it, they're already doing it. I always knew I needed to be up here. And the first job I got, opportunity I got, I left. It didn't matter where it came from, I left. So I was not in the right position. And I think a lot of people don't understand that you need to be really in the right position at the right time to kind of go to that next level. So figuring out and trying to, navigate different spaces is really kind of how you be flexible as you're growing and building. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
You make perfect sense. So your dreams was way bigger, and your goals were way bigger than where you were at in Alabama. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And in your mind, what is a publicist? The way you look at it, or what is a publicist in general?
Okay, so to the world, we are a miracle worker, but it's
Oh,
no. That's what they think, right? But no, we are the publicist. That's the role that we play to really get our clients' brand, their business, their organization to be seen to different people that will probably never encounter them face to face, right? So whether that's getting them the opportunity, the placements through media opportunities, brand partnerships, different opportunities and relationships to position them to be in a room to, either that's in front of consumers or whether that's in front of, maybe awards opportunities, we really position them in the best light for the public or to the public. So that's essentially what a publicist really does. This is what we focus on is that brand visibility.
Yeah. What was your first introduction to the world of PR, and what was a great experience that you had in the beginning?
Ooh, great experience that I had in the beginning. So something I'll say is that, a lot of times we use our friends to kind of help us to show like, hey, I can do this. And
Yeah.
I had a friend when I moved up here. I had quite a few friends or people that I had met that really kind of helped me navigate the space up here. So that's why I tell people, don't ever come to anything and say, oh, I don't want any new friends, because new friends and new relationships, right, is how it opens the door to the next. And so they gave me opportunities to where I can be in spaces to build relationships, to expand my knowledge of this particular market. Because that's another thing I think people have to understand is understanding the market, how the market moves. So I operate in different markets now, obviously, because of having the contacts or relationships or having the contracts. And all of these markets are different. And so in those spaces with my friends, those that I built relationships with, they helped me navigate that space, as well as one of my friends said, hey, I have something coming up. I would love to get some opportunities. And you know what I did? I said, I got you. And I did that. And I started to garner press and different things for her. And that was my start. Because why? I didn't have the social proof in the market. And that's what I needed.
Yeah. How would someone know if they needed to hire a publicist or marketing professional?
Okay. So two things first. Marketing, you would want a marketing person if your goal is to garner sales, when you want to start garnering ROI. There's different forms of marketing. So they may say, I'm not active on social media. I'm not able to really understand what that looks like for my business. I don't even know where to start. Then you say, you know what? I think it's time. I've tried to dibble and dabble with Canva or, whatever you do, to social media yourself, and you say, you know what, I think it's time for me to, hire a social media marketing person that understands, strategies, tools, writing, different trends to make sure that, you are on the up and up with your content. Then there's an actual, like maybe experiential type of marketing, or just a different type of marketing to help you, build sales. That's going to be a little bit different, obviously, than social media. When you are saying that you want a publicist, that means that essentially you are wanting complete brand visibility for your name, your brand, whatever launch is, whether it's a book, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. You're saying, I want to be featured in press, or I want some brand partnerships, or I want some collaboration, or I just want more visibility. I want people to know what we do. That's when you say, okay, I want a publicist, but there's still more that you still should consider when hiring publicists as well. But that's the gist of it.
How important do you need to build relationship as a publicist? And second part to that, do you need to have connection with other publishers, or you just need to worry about you and your clientele?
Okay, I want to answer number 2 first, because that's
Oh,
important.
right.
Yes. So if you are interested in, wanting to be a publicist, or you are a publicist, you have got to have friends in this industry. I think the best acceleration that I have or that I had to this point, and that I know I'm continuing to build, is relationships. Just imagine, in whatever field that you're doing, whoever's listening, having allies in the industry that you do, that you can call on and get advice, or, hey, do you have something, or can you help me? Like, hey, I'm full over here, I want to send them over here. So having those relationships and friends and partners, that is so important. And a lot of times in entrepreneurship, that people can agree with, it gets lonely. So when you can have someone that you can lean on, and they can understand, they can either help you level up, or say, hey, Sarah, you need to take that off your plate, this is what you need to do. I need that. And I love that. And that's been the best thing about being in this role. That's what has kept me, if that makes sense. And then what's the first question? Because I was so excited about the second.
Just about sharing an example of how you were able to leverage a relationship to serve a client's PR need.
Oof, that's all the time. Man, I represented a well-known artist this summer actually, and we were working on releasing this album release, and I have a friend that's also in the southern market but also the Houston market, which also has experience with artists. That's something that's important. You want to make sure that you're working with people that are experienced in the type of clients or projects that you're working with. And because she has relationships in that market, we collaborated on getting more visibility for this client as she was doing a tour. So I think that was a highlight, the most recent highlight that I like to address, is that anytime I say, hey, got something, I'm coming out to Houston, or she'd be like, hey, I'm coming to Atlanta, we just collaborate, and it's always just beneficial for us.
Yeah, well, how important would you say dealing with that, the time management, dealing with the stress, the thinking, the worrying? How important is it that you make sure that your relationship with God is close and strong? And what do you do to make sure that you give yourself some you time dealing with all this different stuff and meeting the needs of other people?
Oh my gosh. Prayer is so crazy. My mother said it today. The word says that man should always pray. She said it to me this morning. And I have to always pray. I literally have to, if it ain't nothing but me just talking to God and saying, all right, God, I need you to come in. I need you to intervene. I need you to give me strength. My word is always, God, give me the discernment, give me the capacity, give me the strength, because God's strength is better than my own strength. And so if he could give me just a little bit of strength, or he can give me just a big amount of strength, I'm able to really progress in the task that I'm assigned that day. But my first course of action, and it may be comical to some, but I take naps. I say, you know what, life is a little too much today, and I need to lay down. I need
Yeah,
to lay down. I need to read. The same way a phone needs to recharge, I need to read. And I get a little cranky sometimes when I don't get a nap. So, what I've learned is, and I'm an adult, and that's crazy. I'm an adult, and what I noticed is that when I don't get any naps Monday through Friday, I pay for it on the weekend because I'm just so accustomed to it. I don't know what it is, but napping and praying, going into my closet, I try to be as active as I can with my church so that I can get fueled spiritually, because I need that. I have to have that, because I'm so front facing with people and their moods and their attitudes. I need to be restored spiritually, because I believe a spiritual foundation is what helps us to really show up for souls. And so that's just really how I operate.
Yeah, and then you're around, like you said, all those different people, all those different spirits, all those different emotions that, go on. So you need to be covered and protected, by the Holy Spirit, to cover you. Can you break down and how does it impact one's business?
Said, how does it impact?
Yeah, a person's business.
Prayer and
Brand,
spiritual?
branding.
Branding. Oh my gosh. Branding is the make or break. So those that are listening, branding can be a make or break. You are a walking, you are the brand. So however you operate continuously, however you act, that's how people start to relate you to a brand, or relate to you because of how you act, how you operate, how you look. And so one thing I've always, even as a young person, like when I was doing acting and things like that, they were just big on our appearance, big on how we presented ourselves. Even when I was taking growing up etiquette class and things like that, it's always how you present yourself. We hear this all the time. You go for a job or you go to a room and network, you show up how you want to be received. And so I said the same thing for branding. If you want to be known as loud, crazy, funny, people are going to associate you with that. And so when it's time to get serious, it's going to be hard, you know what I'm saying, to navigate and say, hey, no, I'm serious. Like I'm not playing right now, So I tell people, be mindful of how you want to be received. You know, if you want to be received as a luxury, a respectable brand, a brand that only accepts certain type of clients, you have to market and brand yourself that way all the time. You have to give the top, you know what I'm saying? You have to give the top tier. If you want to be comical and you want to be funny, you want to be on trend, you got to be consistent with that so that people can, you know, relate you to that. If you want to be an expert, you got to give me tips all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's important. So it's a make or break. And it is something that I believe, I just want to say this too, is that branding takes time. It takes literal time. So you say in November, this is how I want to rebrand myself. I say, look, give yourself a whole year. Give your, not 3 months, not a quarter. Give yourself a year for people to say, you know what? They don't do that anymore. This is what they do, right? So I think, you know, give yourself time, give people time to be familiar with the new you or the whatever you're trying to brand or so to speak.
Yeah. What keeps you impacted on your business? What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated at this point, being that you've been in it for a minute? You've been in PR 10 years, you had your own agency for 8 years. What keeps Sarah going and motivated?
Honestly, I mean, one is, I think, because I know it's more for me. So I believe that I know what God tells me, I know what He shows me, and I know that staying the path that I'm on, that helps me say, okay, God, if I could stay this path, I know there's some new things coming for me. That I know there's some, you know, new changes coming for me, but also the results that I get for clients. I think that's the next best thing, is just seeing like, hey, I really can do this. You know, I know how to write, you know, because sometimes, you know, you get in this game with PR and it's like, the world is changing. You know, what it was 3 years ago, PR is not the same. The media landscape is not the same. And so really seeing the results, seeing the clients' sacrifices, seeing the long hours, just seeing that come up to fruition and seeing the result, that really inspires me to say, all right, you got this. You can do this. You can
Right.
take on another project. You ain't got to quit.
Mm.
So, you know, that what really inspires me.
Yeah, over the weekend here in Atlanta, restaurants was full to great capacity. There was a great need of a PR expert. How would you approach crisis communication and reputation and managements to your clients when things like that happen, or to avoid them?
Okay, so first, number one, I probably wouldn't have gotten any sleep at all. That's number one, because you never know. All it takes is one thing, one person to just escalate. And this should be a reminder to people with all businesses, especially if you have restaurants, boutiques, or anything like that. All it takes is one person. And we take advantage of people with influence. We take advantage of that. We take advantage that there's social media. We take advantage of access that people have. So I think that's number one. I want everybody to keep that in their mind. I would have approached the number one, when you're in a situation like that, is that you address the public concern. And one thing that I think was missing was that no actionable steps were shared on what should have been done. It was, certain things wasn't addressed. And I think that you need to address the fault. You need to be empathetic. You need to be sincere. And you need to say, hey, this is what we're going to do moving forward. And, you know, we ask for your continued support as we navigate this, as we investigate this. You know, let them know, I hear you. We're going to make the necessary changes. Let's investigate this. And also, it would have been great, I don't know if they did or not, but making sure, reaching out to him, making, you know, leadership, reaching out and saying, hey, you know, I'm so sorry, you have open image, whatever that case may be, but publicly, never make a joke out of someone's experience, whether good or bad, right? And I think that's something that I think a lot of people are not missing. We never want to make a joke, but we want to be empathetic, be sincere, and show actionable steps. Companies do it all the time. And that's something that even small business owner, Black restaurant, we should still follow suit as well.
Yeah, accountability is the key. And if something happens in the public, you should have accountability in the public, like you're saying as well, because that would be, you know, greatly needed, and they would see the sympathy and the empathy for your business and want to, hey, they take ownership. We can still go back to we can trust them. They're not getting all defensive
Right.
things. What methods do you use measure the effectiveness in the publicity efforts?
So before we start any campaign, we identify all the goals. We identify all the strengths. We identify the weaknesses. So the strengths could be they have great marketing. The weaknesses could be they have poor marketing. They have, or they don't have maybe they need some influencers to kind of help back up what we need, back up, the media side. So we identify the strengths, the weaknesses, we identify the goals. Once every goal, once every strength, once every weakness has been addressed, that's how we identify the success of a campaign. So obviously if the goal is to, get, some local press placement, boom, we've gotten that, knock it off the list. If we say, hey, we're lacking in the social media, the marketing department, okay, guys, this is what we need to do to achieve that. Once that's been achieved, we mark that off the list. So the success of a campaign is always making sure that in the beginning, we've identified all the strengths, the weaknesses, what our goals are. And we want to make sure as the PR agency that we're knocking those things off the list, that everybody is accountable for their task, their job. And so that's how we can measure, like, okay, we got 3 local news stations. Okay, we got the newspapers out there. We got, so that's how we measure that.
How do you manage the time and resources to meet deadlines and to deliver effectively?
So we use CRM systems that help the entire team be accountable for their tasks. And that also helps with time management. So for those that are listening, it's always good that if you do have a team, whether you're working with employees or contractors, it's always good to, meet with them weekly, see where everybody, is on their task, and also set new goals, parameters for the week. And that's something that we pride ourselves in. Sometimes we get off, right? But it's always a way to say, hey, where are we with this? How can we, update this? So having those proper communication channels, CRM systems, emails, making sure that we're respecting boundaries, work hours, but also making sure that we're accomplishing tasks.
Yeah. How do you stay updated in the industry changes and trends to meet the media landscape?
I watch the news. I watch the news well. I mean, I can't be in this field without watching the news. I watch, if a client is going to be on a platform, I watch it days before, I watch it like weeks before. I'm familiar with the platform. I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of research. Anytime I see something, especially if it's like the most recent matter, I strongly investigate, and I like to see what are competitors doing, what is the public saying, because that helps me. And I also just keep abreast to different platforms that are out, just so that I'm aware, so that, okay, is that something we need to incorporate? So we like to do quarterly maintenance checks to see, like, okay, so what systems are working? What should we try to incorporate? So now we're in that time to see, okay, what's going to be useful for us next year, so that we don't get kind of behind, if that makes sense.
Yeah. For those wanting to be a publisher, what advice would you give to them?
I hope they're prepared. But advice, honestly, if you can, definitely try to intern. Try to see, whatever publicists that you are admiring their work, see if they have any open availabilities for you to shadow or opportunities to intern. Or something that I did as well is that a lot of publicists will have different learning tools, workbooks. That's something that we're working on to offer the end of this month before the year's out. So for people that are aspiring publicists, there's so many publicists. I have colleagues that actually have workbooks and different ebooks for them to learn from. Some is free and some is a purchase. And so I remember, we're close friends now, I actually paid for those things to learn how to pitch, to learn how to research. Because again, you're always a student. I'm still a student. Because things are changing every year. So I would be so naive not to want to learn, because I've accomplished this, so much, right? So if they want to come with the mindset of saying, hey, I want to learn, I see a few publishers that I would love to learn from, finding an internship so you can get that hands-on experience with clients, with writing, with working in the field, the hustle and bustle. I think that's really the best route to go.
Yeah, last couple questions. How is the landscape in that field? Is it male dominated, female dominated, mixture?
Ooh, I want to say it's a mixture. I do see a lot of female publicists more, and that could be a lot because I am a woman myself, but it is a mixture. I think a lot of the conversation should be geared towards there is, you know, Black agencies as well as we have our counterpart agencies. And so there's a lot of us. We do amazing work. But you know, a lot of times I think with companies, and I think this is so important for those that try to understand the landscape of what we do with the diversity, equity, and inclusion things. Of course, you know, when you're trying to navigate certain audiences, you know, you feel more comfortable, right, to maybe find someone that obviously looks like you, that can tell the stories of, you know, Black, or whether that's, you know, whether it's, you know, other groups, ethnic groups or whatever. But yeah, I think primarily I've noticed a lot of a mixture. But Black agencies, we're killing it. We're killing it. So got to put that plug there.
How can people connect with you and work with you in your agency?
Well, they can follow me on my personal platform, which is Bubbly, just like the word Bubbly, Busby, Busby, or they can follow me on my Instagram page at Be The Buzz Agency. So that's really mostly how they can connect with me. I do answer DMs, or they can shoot me an email.
Yes, yes. And lastly, can you give some words of encouragement for some youth that might be stepping out on faith, going after their dreams, goals, or things that God has spoken to them?
Oh, yes. So I think the biggest advice I would say is, like, as long as you work it, it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Meaning, you know, as long as you just keep going, nothing ever, you keep being driven, you keep being open, keep being flexible, especially for my youth that are young, y'all are vibrant. Be brave and try all things. You don't have to just do one thing. Just because you're great at sports, you may be great at like arts and crafts and things like that. Be open, be flexible. Like, this is a time to get your hands in so much. We're created to be multifaceted. We're created to have multiple streams. The word speaks about multiple rivers. So just being open, being flexible. There are so many opportunities for you. And so I just say, really dive in, pray, ask for support. If you need it, be brave. Say, look, this is what I need. This is what I need help with, and stand on it. And always just dress for success. You know, you never know who you're going to encounter. So you want to always make sure that you're put together, you're prepared, you're well learned, and you'll go far.
Yeah, and that's a reason that I wanted to have you for this spotlight interview, because you represent somebody in the workforce that's got a relationship with God, that's saved, and you're doing it so we can see how it looks. We can see from your fruit that you bear, we can see and your witness. So a lot of times people they're scared to let their Christ, let their kingdom walk show, because of they feel like it might be a disadvantage. They might not even know how it looks, but you are represent that, you are walking in it. And I just pray that God continue to bless you, give you strength and encouragement, put you around all the right people that you need to. May whoever you touch be blessed. May whoever you be around hear from you, and may you affect their life, and may they see the God in you that you represent. And we appreciate you for taking this time and excelling in what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. It's been great.